Hello! Welcome to my channel here at Observe Breathe. If you're new to my channel, please feel free to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep in touch. Today's episode is not your average period hacks. The topic can be quite taboo because society seems to have a problem with its own body fluids, except for when it comes to, certain types of body fluid. Anyways, so today's episode is going to be about not your average period hacks, and there's two parts to this video. The first part of the video is about the practical girl period. So if you're kind of the girl that keeps going on with her life and doing her things and whatever, this one might be geared a little bit more towards you. And the second part of the episode is for the witchy AF girl period. So if you're like me and your period, you basically just need to take time off and get really witchy with yourself, get really magical and really inward, and you have the time and the ability to do that, then these suggestions will be for you. Today's episode is sponsored by djorde. djorde is an amazing fashion brand that is designed in Vancouver and is eco and sustainable fashion, which I love because I love feeling the fabric on the skin when it feels organic and it feels good. Oh, especially around my moon time, it's so important to just feel natural fabric on the skin. So I'm wearing one of their dresses here, as you can see, and I really love this one because it's red and it feels really juicy and empowering, because I find that if I wear red around this time, then it makes me feel really empowered and sensual and really drawing from that moon power. Alrighty, so let's get to it. Okay, so practical girl period. People have different perceptions of what it is to have a practical girl period because, quite frankly, I don't believe that women should be working the first couple days when they're menstruating. That's just my personal belief. Everybody's different. But I do know that the most important thing that one can do to have a practical girl period is to take the PMS and take all those emotions, the anger that comes up, the sex drive that comes up, everything that arises, and use that to prepare for your period. So for me, that's like chopping wood, like taking that rage and just smashing it, just like chopping the wood, preparing food ahead of time. It's really good to get one of those apps that can kind of help you to map out your cycle so that you can kind of know when your cycle is going to come into menstruation. And you can basically prepare your food ahead of time, whether that's making some kitchery or making food that's really easy to digest. And we'll talk about that a bit later as to what foods are really good as to when you are menstruating. But yeah, that's the number one thing, is take the PMS and prepare, right? Clean your entire place beforehand. Go chop your wood. Go prepare your sea moss if you make sea moss, which I highly suggest to make yourself some sea moss gel, because sea moss is a superhero. It's a superfood. It's really good. So basically, once you do end up getting your period, one of the things you can do that's really simple is get yourself one of those cups, whether that's a Diva cup or any other type of cup that's good for your period, because menstrual cups are really awesome because they really help you to alleviate cramps, and they're really good for feeling as though they're not really there, but they are, Some people get grossed out by the idea of collecting blood, but our bodies are doing what they're doing naturally. So just come to love your body, and there's so much beauty behind blood when we actually come to love our bodies. So yeah, basically getting a Diva cup, getting some kind of menstruation cup, and then getting period underwear. Because that way you've got, both of those, you can feel confident in yourself. If you are a super practical girl, then you can do that, and it'll feel a lot easier for you to go out in public and to do your things without, worrying about getting a spill or anything like that. So basically, one of the most important things I could say to the practical girl when you're on your period and you're going out there into the work world is do not drink coffee or caffeine. Coffee and caffeine not only dehydrates you, but can actually cause you to have a lot of cramps around your menstrual cycle. So try to stay away from the caffeine, and if you need to, try to drink some matine and mate to get your energy levels up higher if you need it. But my greatest suggestion is just to drink a lot of water. A lot of hot teas are good, such as holy basil and ginger. Just things to keep the blood flowing, to keep your body temperature warm, and to basically alleviate cramps. If you want to, what you can do is you can prepare ahead of time by basically drinking Dawn Quay can help to bring your menstrual cycle into being more regular. You can drink cramp bark, which really helps for cramps. You can drink raspberry leaf. This is also really good for menstruation when you are PMSing. And when you're on your menstrual cycle, the number one tea that I can recommend, hold on, I have it over here. This is the number one tea I recommend. It's called Woman's Moon, and I get it from Harmonic Arts. And it has everything you need in it, like cinnamon, videx, cramp bark, ginger, nettles, cleavers, lady's mantle, red rose. It's awesome. It's already pre-mixed. It's not too expensive. This is a lifesaver when you're menstruating. Literally completely changed my period experiences. I'm gonna chill here with my computer to read off of because I wrote this when I was mooning. Okay, so like I said, most important thing you can do before your practical girl period, take your PMS and get yourself well set up. Like take out your recycling, take out your garbage, clean your place, chop your kindling, make some food, make some kitchery. Kitchery is really easy to digest. I suggest Googling kitchery and how to make it. It's really awesome. Now, when you have your Diva Cup, one of the coolest things you can do with your Diva Cup that allows you to feel connected to the earth is to feed your houseplants your period blood. Some people might think that's super weird, but actually period blood is filled with nutrients. Like, it is extremely nutrient dense, and it will help your plants grow and keep them growing. If you're the kind of person like me that accidentally neglects their houseplants from time to time, the one thing you can do to keep them alive when you're not that good at watering them all the time is feeding them your period blood when your menstrual cycle comes. So I know that sounds weird, but we've come here on earth to connect to earth, I swear. Another thing with the practical girl period is that I highly suggest that you take the time to avoid technology. And that when you do connect to technology, whether that's watching movies or like listening to music or being on Instagram, just be careful with what you absorb, because we're in a time of being very absorbent, meaning that we're a lot more sensitive. Our nervous system feels a lot more delicate. I don't know if you've ever heard, but it's not good to get waxed right before or during your menstrual cycle, because literally our nerve endings become more sensitive. So it's just really important that you become aware of what it is that you're absorbing, the information that you're seeing, the emotions that you're processing. The menstrual cycle is a time when we allow ourselves to let go of everything that we've been holding on to for an entire month. So sometimes things surface that happened earlier that month, and it's just because our bodies are letting them go. So it's really good to go to nature, and even if you're like working somewhere, just go on your break and touch a tree and allow yourself to have the moment of feeling that hurt to the dirt. Feeling as though you can allow yourself to just take a moment to breathe and to ground yourself into the earth. So yeah, if you do connect to any type of media when you're menstruating, I suggest to focus on media that helps you feel like you're able to shift your emotions and uplift. So watch movies that make you laugh, those kind of feel good, warm movies. If you need to have movies where you cry, you can do that, but I just suggest that it's a good time to allow yourself to really absorb what it is that you want to imprint your consciousness with. Now, if you want to get work done, and I'm not talking about like going out and working at your job, but if you want to get work done, if you're feeling productive when you're menstruating, then I find that it's a really good time to make lists and to organize things. So my last moon time, I had a power outage, but my computer was charged, and I found that usually around my menstrual cycle, I will delete old files on computer and I will organize things into folders so that the rest of my cycle I am set up, and it is very easy for me to get back into that hustle grind flow. I suggest that you do a bit of light exercise around this time. Nothing too crazy. If you're gonna do some yoga, stay away from inversions because those can actually mess with you. They can send the blood down to your head. You don't want to do inversions when you're menstruating. You want to focus more on forward bends and on things that allow your hamstrings and your hips to open. Another thing I find really helps is to use a heated water bottle or a heated blanket. I have an electric blanket because sometimes my body goes from being very, very hot to very, very cold. So what I do is I have a down-filled comforter with silk on the outside, and I have a heated blanket. And this is in winter, of course. So when I'm too hot, I turn to the silk. And when I'm too cold, I use that electric blanket, and that kind of gives me a perfect balance because I have some strange hormonal problems that I've been fixing. So that's what I do. Basically, silk and a heated blanket is really good, and heated water bottle is really awesome as well. I find that my period is a good time to get really ambient into my place. So I changed my lights to being red because I have LED lighting. And I light candles, I light my lanterns, I put on all my different light effects, and I put on some aromatherapy, some ylang-ylang, jasmine, rose, and at night I can put on some chamomile and some lavender. And this really helps me tune into myself and feel relaxed. I like playing a playlist that I have set up. I have a few and I'll link them down below. But I really like this time to be one where I allow myself to feel like it's all about the ambiance, the ambient time. It's time for me to listen to music and to journal or doodle or to allow my thoughts to come and go. Yeah, I sometimes have a lot of discomfort that arises, and I've learned some tricks to kind of prevent that, and it's mainly in diet and what I eat. So I'm going to talk a bit about diet now. So I learned that eating red meat on the menstrual cycle actually causes the body to create more blood and more cramping. So what I've learned is that since I do eat meat now, I will eat chicken and I will eat fish on my menstrual cycle, and I stay away from nuts and grains personally out of my own choice, but the one grain that I do eat is teff. And teff is a really great grain because it's alkaline, it helps boost serotonin in your brain, and it's also extremely filled with iron, so it helps you to get your iron needs. I'm making my moon teff pudding here. As you can see, this is teff. And teff actually helps to make more serotonin in your brain, and it's really good for iron. So it's so good for moon time. So good for moon time. I can't recommend it anymore. And I like putting my iron supplement, it's the iron clay I was telling you guys about, in my teff pudding because it's just like adding extra iron on top of iron. And I like putting mangoes and bananas and apples and maybe sometimes topping it off with honey, put some maca. I'm gonna add some goji berries to this baby. And this is another little trick I like to do, but I like to put my CBD oil as well as like some heart tincture into my thing. Look, there's a cat. Hello, kitty. I am distracted by you. You are so beautiful. Anyways, so I really like to put some heart tincture into my porridge. So this is some rose and damiana, and this is the second day, so a little bit of tincture isn't going to trigger me too much, but that's just going to give me this extra wapow on my moon time today. Another thing in which I use is actually an iron supplement that's a type of red clay. This is what I use to get more iron into my diet around my moon time, and just in general because I'm anemic, so this really helps me. It's all natural. It's just this amazing clay. It's got all these great nutrients in it. So I put this in my smoothies and I put it in porridge. Put that in my smoothies with a bunch of other superfoods, from vicuña, which helps to create more dopamine, to maca, which really helps with the hormonal imbalances that can come around this time, and also the adrenals. Maca, vicuña, camu camu, which is high in vitamin C and boosts the immune system, cinnamon, ginger, all the heating herbs, cardamom, clove. It's a really good time to connect to those chai spices without the caffeine. So, you think about cardamom, cinnamon, ginger, clove, star anise, all these different chai spices are really good around this time too, and they're really yummy. So, some people say that they like to have baths around this time. I would suggest not to have too hot of a bath, because when we have too hot of a bath, it actually causes us to bleed more, and we lose our life force. Women lose their life force through their menstrual cycle. So the more that we bleed, kind of the quicker that we age, or the yogis say that we're losing our prana, which is basically our chi, or our life force. They say that men have that in their semen, so that's why they're tired when they ejaculate, and we have that in our blood. So when we menstruate, we become a little bit more lethargic and tired because we're losing iron. So I suggest, just my own personal suggestion, not to have a bath for a few days, maybe do some bird bathing or take a shower. But maybe not to bathe just for the first few days. But once again, that's my body. Everybody's different. I've done my research into it, and I go about things a little bit stranger than a lot of people, which I'm going to talk about now. The witchy girl period. Yeah, so when I first moved to this place, I had a practice where I would turn off all Wi-Fi for an entire week. And my period was a time for me to connect to the elementals and to the wilderness, and to feel very much grounded and embodied in my wilderness. I got really in touch with myself, and I studied a lot of moon magic. I went to different teepees and learned about menstrual magic, menstrual studies, and menstrual mystery schools, and how different indigenous cultures would go about celebrating their menstrual cycles. And I learned a lot of cool information, and I tried it out. So one of it was not to wash the hair during the menstrual cycle, because the head is very much connected to the womb, and if the head is cold, they say that this can cause moon problems, like problems with the uterus, problems with the womb. But some people say that's an urban legend, and that's just a myth. I personally find that I like not to get my head wet for at least the first 3 days of my menstrual cycle, and my practice is to just bird bathe for about the first 3 or 4 days. Even though I might feel gross, I literally experience the energy kind of decomposing and returning to the earth. And I have a practice where I menstruate right on the moss. Moon time for me is a time to go without makeup and to just lavish my lashes with vitamin E and argan and castor oil and my eyebrows. Just to put a lot of good rose oils on the skin, but it's good to give my skin a break from makeup. If I do feel like getting a bit dolled up, what I do is I will put on a little bit of organic red lipstick and smear it on my cheeks. Sometimes I take my blood. Just kidding. Maybe I am. But yeah, that's kind of trying to keep it low key around this time. It's kind of my time to nourish myself and to hide from the world and to just run off into the woods. This is my favorite place to come moon. Over there's a fire ring. And there's my moon moss throne. And we've got the water, so we've got all the different elements. So this is my moon moss throne. And sometimes I make a fire over there, but today it's actually pretty warm, so body do? So the indigenous women out here in Canada, they would actually bleed on what was known as wolf moss. And I found that moss is like the absolute best maxi pad. I know you guys are gonna think I'm totally crazy saying this, but they've shown that like when a woman menstruates, the first 24 hours, there's like a release of DMT in the brain. So for you guys who don't know about DMT, it's the dream molecule. So when we dream, when we're having lucid dreaming, that's when the DMT is activated. When we die, there's DMT that's activated. When we're born, there's DMT there's activated. And when a woman menstruates, there's extra DMT that gets secreted in the brain. So I realized that when I would sit on the moss and I would menstruate and the blood would return to the earth, I would feel really high. I don't know how else to describe it. I very clear insight as to what I'm meant to do for the rest of the month. And I found that before I'd be done, so let's say like day 5 or day 6, sometimes I'd sew something. I'd sew a garment that then I'd wear. And I'd wear that out into the world as I emerge out of my menstrual time and turn the Wi-Fi back on. But I just found that it would allow me to get really clear with what I'm done with, what doesn't serve me, what I'm moving on from, and then what I'm meant to do. And get really focused, write my list, get ready to hustle for the rest of the month, you know? So yeah, how to do this? How do you go to nature and, you know, like be discreet about menstruating? This is my moon dress. So the great thing about this moon dress is that you see underneath, I got my moon panties and I got my high socks. These high socks are awesome. They go all the way up if I want. So what I do is when I get to nature, I take off my panties, I keep on my high socks, and I just spread my dress out on the moss. I got something called a moon dress, which my friend designed, and then from there on I just kind of, you know, found other moon dresses that I could wear. And a moon dress is red and it has many layers to, you know, down there, many layers down there. And I'd have like little period panties or moon panties, and I'd sew some garnet and moonstones on them. And then have my, you know, diva cup for when I need to be practical, and I take it out, just go in my underwear, go out to nature, find a place that doesn't have too many people, go into the bush if I need to, find some moss, and if sometimes I'd go with an umbrella if it was raining and tarps, I'd go all out, I'd bring layers and layers and layers of blankets and make a fire or whatever, and I just sit. I literally just sit, and all these things come up, my mind, thoughts, it's like a meditation. And before I know it, I start having, you know, just absolutely incredible visions and insights. So that's how you do it. You wear a moon dress, you wear your moon underwear, you take the underwear off privately in nature, you bring a thermos and you bring heating pads. You can even buy heated clothes. There's such things where you can actually have infrared heating clothes if you really are afraid of being cold. You can make a fire and keep warm. So a good practice as well is that if you make a fire, you can take that time to burn things that you don't really want in your life anymore, letters, photographs. You can buy resins and throw those into the fire, set some intentions. The fire is a really powerful force for when women are menstruating. In ancient days, it was literally everything was the fire. Women were to stay away from water, like to be near water, but to not be in water. Except for like, you know, some splashing when it's necessary, but not to like fully submerge, you know. And then to basically make a fire, be by the fire. The fire was the source of life for women menstruating, and I still believe that. When I connect to the fire as an elemental around that time, I can feel it transforming all the density inside of me and all that doesn't serve me into something that does, and turning that pain into purpose and power. So yeah, you know, it's a good time to just bask and brush the hair and do some coloring. You can even do some like moon blood paintings if you're really comfortable with it, you know. There's nothing gross about it. It's just society that has conditioned us to think that menstrual blood is gross. In medieval times, you know, some people would actually seek out menstrual blood to eat it. Now that may sound really gross, but it's actually filled with dense nutrients. So that's how they hypothesized, and where the myth of vampires actually came from was about, I believe there was this countess who called in the most virginal woman that just had their menstrual cycle and gathered their menstrual blood, and by bathing and eating the menstrual blood, somehow it kept her young. So, you know, for all of you conspiracy theorists out there that are all about adrenochrome, you know, it's completely different. But I'm just saying that, like, you know, people in olden days, I guess they weren't so freaked out about our body fluids as we are now. But my whole point of that is, if you learn to become comfortable with your blood, it actually will help you become more powerful with yourself. And one of the fun things to do is to paint with it. It's so innocent, you know, like paint like you're a little girl, you know, like stick your finger up there, or maybe take your diva cup and pour it and use a paintbrush if that feels more comfortable, and paint with it and see how that makes your inner child feel. And yeah, you know, you can even do the warrior blood thing where you smear the blood up on your cheeks. But it's a time for you to make your place festive, like I was saying. Put up a red sheer sheet if you want on the door. Have traditions for yourself. For me, I have a box, and I put all my red clothes in this box. My red socks, my red clothes, my menstrual pads, my diva cup, my crystals, my essential oils. It's a really good time to rub oils on that area. You can use cannabis oil, CBD, you know, it can even have THC in it. Cannabis oil is really good. Jasmine oil is really good. They have this great product from Sage that's called Period. It used to be called Moontime, but I guess it's called like Period something now. That's a really good blend of essential oils to rub down there. And, you know, light some candles, put your aroma in the diffuser. I like cardamom and rose and ylang-ylang and jasmine, things like that. I really like burning ama incense as well. If you've never heard about those, I highly suggest checking out the rose ama incense. It's such an amazing, soothing, but invigorating smell. So I know I'm all over the place with this, but now we're going to go into the food section. For food, I was mentioning the teff. You can make teff cookies. You can make teff cereal. I like making a teff cereal out of teff and banana and soaked fermented goji berries and maca. And banana is really good for our menstrual times. I try to eat as many warm bananas as possible because they're really good for potassium and they're really good to help alleviate cramps. For a smoothie, I highly suggest making a warm golden milk. If you can have coconut milk, have coconut milk. I highly suggest staying away from dairy, like I was saying around this time. But if you can have coconut milk, feel free to use coconut milk. I use banana instead, and mango, turmeric, an iron supplement, mucunia, maca, sea moss, with star anise, mulled spiced herbs, cinnamon, cardamom, and ginger. If you want, you can even put the tiniest bit of rose water, but too much rose water is cooling, so be careful with that. Another smoothie that I like to make is warm banana cherry smoothie, and I also use the iron supplement, maca, and the heating herbs in that. I'm going to add some goji berries just to add some extra happy factor to my smoothie. I always like adding these in after so that they're kind of like bubble tea or something. Bubble tea! And cheers to deliciousness and magic and wonder and all those good things. Cheers! Cheers! So around this time, since I don't have cheese of any sort, and I really love cheese, what I do is I stick to the vegan cheeses that are uncomplex. Like I like to make one from steamed carrot, potato, nutritional yeast, sea moss, tamari, mustard, paprika, and cayenne. Or they have this brand called Via Life cheese, which is really great. You can find it in most stores in the US and Canada. I really love the feta of Via Life. That's one of my favorite cheeses they have. And you know, it's a time to eat your dark leafy greens. So, yeah. So yeah, that's basically been my not your average period hack videos. I know I'm pretty stimulated right now, but I'm about to head out to the city. And I'm very excited. So yeah, if it's your moon time, it's your time to make yourself feel special, girl. Don't let anything take that from you. You know, society wants to take so much from us, and then it says, no, we don't. But it's the conditioning. You know, we are conditioned by one another, by social media, by the status quo of what we deem is or isn't acceptable in society. And it's just good for you to realize what it is that you love about yourself and what you love to do. And that some people might find that weird or strange, but that doesn't really matter because people are going to people, and at the end of the day, their opinions do not pay your bills. So keep doing what you love. Celebrate yourself. Have traditions with yourself. If that means going out and bringing your crystals to a stream to cleanse them, or going out into the moonlight and dancing, do that. If that means you watch, you know, a show that you like, do that. It's different for every woman, and we know what that is for ourselves, you know, but it's good to inspire one another. You know, for me, I really love putting on my moon coat and getting on my bicycle with all my chopped kindling. I have an e-bike and going into the woods, sitting on my throne, making a fire, and just having a blast in nature. And getting really creatively inspired about what I want to do with my life and how I'm going to have fun. So yeah, that's basically been that. I hope that you have a very restful moon time, very peaceful, and also very creative and juicy and sensual. And I'm sending you guys so much love. If you're interested in that eco clothing I was telling you about, feel free to check the link down below. I will have a code in there for you guys. It gives you a 20% off discount. So check it out. You can check out my site at www.observebreathe.com for more content. I have a book in there called Womb Links. It's really good, especially around your moon time. It's an ebook. It's absolutely beautiful. I recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'm going to also post some links down below for some Spotify playlists, which are really enjoyable to listen to when you're having that special time of the month. Alright, I'm sending you so much love, and I'm wishing you a happy existence.